Hey there, I'm John.
And I'm Josh.
And we are going to be talking about the results of week one of the 2024 college football season. And football's underway. So let's do this. We're going to basically go in the order of the ones that we previewed last week. We're going to start with number 8, Penn State at West Virginia. Penn State won that one 34-12. Any thoughts on that one?
I mean, only thing really worth noting is that there was a really long rain delay in the game. Yeah. Kind of close, and then Penn State just absolutely demolished once the rain delay started back. I think it would have gone that way either way, to be honest. Penn State, I mean, they look like a top 10 team for the most part.
That is sort of the theme of this past week.
I agree.
A lot of close ones in the first half, and then blew up in the second half.
Arguably the only close games we're going to talk about here were the ranked versus ranked opponents.
Yes, that's right. All right, and then we had number 19 Miami at Florida. Could Florida actually do something this year was the question. The answer so far is definitely a big no.
Yeah, absolutely not. Cam Ward, we knew he was going to be good coming in, right? He came out of a system where he threw a lot, experienced quarterback, right? He could have gone to the NFL or tried to.
That's right.
So 41-17, I mean, that's Florida's in for a long haul. You better buckle up. 3-9 is maybe a success for them at this point.
Because technically for Miami, this was not a cupcake game. You know, this was a big game, big matchup.
I really thought Florida could at least compete here, right?
I did too.
But man, this tells me everything I need to know.
Yeah.
We'll find out later if this just means Miami's that good or if Florida's just...
Yeah, absolutely. That's what we're going to find out. And if Florida is that bad, Napier could really be in trouble.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. The next one is Fresno State at number 9, Michigan. And this one, so Fresno, of course, lost it. We were expecting that. Michigan won it 30-10. The interesting thing was Michigan scored 17 in the fourth quarter.
Yeah,
so it's not like they had a huge lead.
One-possession game going into the fourth quarter. And honestly, Fresno State was driving in the red zone to be able to make it a one-possession game again with like 6 minutes left through a pick six.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Game killer right there.
Absolutely.
Immediately over, but... I think Fresno should be proud that they competed, and we'll really find out who Michigan is next week, right?
That's right. So we sure will.
They could be looking, easily towards the next game, kind of overlooking Fresno. They did what they needed to. They won. Week one, just win the game.
Yep, that's right. The next one was one of the big matchups, number 7, Notre Dame. They were at College Station playing number 20, Texas A&M. And this was a pretty good battle for most of the game.
Absolutely.
6-6 at the halftime. Leonard, the Duke court transfer, came in for Notre Dame. Had a pretty good game.
Yeah, for a starter, neither team had a lot of offense.
That's true.
Starts, right?
That is true.
23-13.
Hence the 6-6 at halftime. Yeah, it's like not a lot.
23-13. Notre Dame wins at A&M. That's, I think, the most impressive thing, right?
It is.
That crowd in the fourth quarter, I'm watching, like, you could feel your TV shaking, right? I mean...
It's a tough one.
It's
a
a
place
to play. And, I mean, to me, that's the most impressive thing about Leonard's performance is, like, week one in an environment like that, getting a dub that's impressive.
It is
so,
impressive.
Notre Dame, good for you.
Yep.
They need a win, too, right?
Yeah.
With their schedule, with not being in a conference, they need to look as good as they can.
That's right. They sure do. The next one, number 23, USC. At number 13, LSU.
Man,
last night,
good game.
It really was a good game.
It was a good game.
It was a battle.
Came down to USC driving. Really, it was LSU scoring and then tying the game. USC immediately drives down the field, right?
Yeah.
Immediately drives down with like 20 seconds left, scores a touchdown. Either way, they were going to just run the timeout and kick a field goal if they could, but LSU gaping gap for the running back. So...
it's interesting because in this one, there's still questions. Is USC that good? Are they really that good? Or is just LSU not as good?
Yeah, and again, like top 25 really doesn't mean anything in the beginning of the season,
it doesn't.
Right? This is all speculation. So
I know Brian Kelly was, apologetic.
He was
and saying it's all
angry.
on me and all that, angry. But, man, you got to have these guys ready for the big games like this.
Yeah, Lincoln Riley, he's been with USC, what is his second year, third year here? So he needs to see some kind of success, right?
Yeah.
Especially with the success he had at Oklahoma. That's what USC is kind of expecting from him.
Mm-hmm.
Last year wasn't really it, especially with the talent he had, like Caleb Williams and other players. So USC, I'm curious to see how they do.
Yeah.
Especially new conference.
It is. It's big. Then you have Western Kentucky was at Alabama. Alabama won that one handily, 63-0.
Yeah. For the most part, ranked teams absolutely demolished.
Yes.
And I mean demolished their counterparts, whether it was lower tier FBS team or FCS team.
That's right. That's right.
Especially in the SEC.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this one was no exception. Obviously, it was. I think it was expected to be like this. But at the same time, I already mentioned to you, I have concerns because Alabama had a lot of dumb penalties. They had some bad snaps, which I thought that was going to be taken care of with a new center.
A 17-year-old getting 130-something yards and 2 touchdowns is something, though.
Yeah.
And
in 2
Milroe,
passes.
I mean, granted,
Yeah.
he didn't really throw that much, but
Yeah.
Milroe looked good too.
Yeah.
You know,
He did.
Offensively, the concern's obviously the center. Defensively, you can't really complain too much.
Yeah.
I mean, 0 points.
Yeah. I'd like to see Milroe not get sacked.
Right.
You know, that was his problem last year. It happened a lot. Happened in this game.
Yeah.
But yeah, so they've got some work to do. South, we'll see what happens next week. But then the game we went to, Boise State, was at Georgia Southern.
Hot game. It was very, very hot.
It was.
Middle of the day, right? 4 p.m. kickoff in Eastern time. Georgia Southern, very friendly.
Yeah.
But it was quite the game.
It was.
I mean, it was quite the game. Boise really looked like they were going to absolutely roll over Georgia Southern at the beginning.
They did.
Allowed a 21 consecutive point comeback where Georgia Southern took the lead and then slowly asserted their dominance again. But man, Ashton Jeanty, the story to tell here, 250 plus yards, 6 touchdowns. I mean, he kind of put himself on the national radar, right? To Boise fans, like I already knew what Ashton Jeanty could do. I already believed that he could actually be a Heisman candidate here towards the end of the season. Now, with this game, he's kind of showing the rest of the country what he's made of.
That's right.
So,
Oh,
huge win.
yeah, it was a huge win.
First win at the beginning of the season for Boise since 2020, right?
Okay.
That's 4 years of us finally starting off 1-0.
Yeah.
So that it already means the world to me. So
That's right.
I'm excited for this
Big. Threw one more on there that we didn't talk about last week because we didn't think we needed to, and that was Idaho was going to be at number 3 Oregon, and we thought this would be a blowaway game. It wasn't. It stayed a fairly tight game throughout the entire game.
Absolutely. I mean, Oregon's head coach, I believe, is Dan Campbell. Hopefully I'm saying that right. He said he was pretty disappointed in the offense and not executing completely at the end, right? I mean, their transfer quarterback from UCF, his name is slipping my mind right now, but we knew he was going to be good.
Yeah.
And he had 41 passes in like 49 attempts. That's insane. That throwing that many times in a game and only scoring 24 points and completing 41 passes, and he also had like 300 plus yards. The issue here was just finishing, right?
Yeah.
And Idaho's probably top 10 in FCS. They've been moving their way up. They do have a really good coach, but I mean, Oregon should have done more than that. So we'll see what they do.
That was
next
a
week.
surprising beginning for Oregon. Disappointing, I'm sure, for Oregon fans, but at the same time, it is a W.
I don't think there's anything else to talk about.
No, we're all done.
Yeah, we should skip ahead.
We don't want to talk about the upset results.
It was okay. So week 1, I was really just I'm confident in my next week picks.
You were a
week
typical
1,
Josh.
I was like, yeah, let's just go for it. So starting off the season 0-2 is definitely tough, but starting off the season 0-2 with how bad it was makes it so much worse, right? 14 Clemson. I was like, hey, maybe this is a good pick, really close to the end of the half, really sloppy, ugly, boring game to watch. 6-0 at the end of the half. Georgia won 34-3.
Yeah.
This is what it tells me a couple things. One, Georgia's defense is back.
Yeah.
They're not changing. I thought they were gonna, overhyped, talked about too much. That defense is good.
I'm not too surprised about that.
Clemson, it might be time to find a new coach. I think the buyout's like an absurd amount of money, so I guess we'll see if what actually happens. But
isn't that crazy to think?
Dabo his time
wasn't
might
that many
be,
years ago, but
yeah.
I just think that he is not with the modern system.
No, he's verbally said like he doesn't really love the NIL
and you just
all
can't
that,
do that.
But
it's just too bad. That's where we are now.
Yeah.
You have to change, and you have to embrace it, or you're done, which could be potentially the case for you.
The ACC looks really bad.
Yeah,
I mean, as bad as you can as a Power 4 conference, the ACC's flat in the bottom.
So your next one, Colorado State, was at number 4, Texas.
I wasn't the only one who thought Colorado State might be able to compete in this game, but I mean, it was absolutely
They did
abysmal.
not.
Right? Quinn
Yeah.
Ewers did exactly what he needed to do. Texas never concerned. It was a blowout from the very start.
52-0.
52
Powerful.
to nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, if we just keep track of my spread with these upsets, I'm like 84 points off.
Let's not keep track of it that
let's
way. All right, so that was week 1. Stay tuned when we talk about what's coming up with week 2.
Go Broncos.